What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Tight Lines Podcast, your favorite fishing podcast. In this week's episode, we talk all about iCAST 2025. We talk everything new that stands out to me from a bird's eye view, from rods and reels to baits and so much more. We will talk about my top 8 new items from iCAST 2025. So, strap in, grab a cold drink, and get ready because episode 7 of the Tight Lines Podcast starts right now. Alrighty, so as we talked about in the introduction, this is going to be a really good recap of iCAST 2025. And my top 8 items for everything that I saw this year. So, disclaimer, I did not actually attend. I don't have any hands-on experience with these products. These are not really even reviews. These are just, here's what has been announced by these companies. Here's what I thought is going to be probably the most interesting for this year and what is applicable mostly to me. And hopefully to you guys as well. So these are not going to be reviews as much as they're going to be. I'm going to talk about what they are. We're going to talk about product descriptions. We're going to talk about price, items for everything. So we're going to cover some baits. We got some reels. I think we got a rod in there as well. So yeah, it's a little bit of terminal tackles. We have all sorts of really fun, cool stuff coming for you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about how they fit into their market, hopefully, and obviously if they're worth it and if I think you should buy it. So all of these are things I think are really good. These were things that stood out to me in a good way. I didn't really want to sit here and rip on the negative. That's no fun. There's so much negativity out there in the world, especially around fishing. So I just figured let's talk about some of the positive, fun stuff. And overall what I thought was really cool. And again, no hands-on experience, so I will be excited to try these out as you guys will. So, with in no particular order, let's go ahead and begin with number 1. So, number 1 is going to be the Great Lakes Finesse brand Micro Juvie Craw. So, what this is it's a smaller Juvie Craw compared to the original one. So, the product description directly from Great Lakes Finesse is: the Great Lakes Finesse Micro Juvie Craw delivers a compact, realistic crawfish profile that imitates a vulnerable juvenile with floating claws and tentacles that lift on the paws. Measuring 2 inches, this bait pairs perfectly with the tube head, which nests into the body so the hook shank aligns between the tentacles, keeping the presentation upright on its flat bottom. The natural matte finish reduces flash for stealthier presentations in clear water, while the tear-resistant material holds up to repeated bites. Whether you're dragging it across a rock or hopping it near grass edges, it mimics the subtle movement of a crawfish trying not to get eaten. Specs from the product description are a 2-inch profile that imitates a juvenile crawfish, floating claws and tentacles that lift on the paws, so they'll float up, a flat bottom to the actual plastic that keeps the bait upright when rigged with the tube head, which pairs with the Great Lakes Mini Micro Tube Head, which is going to be a specific tube head just for this. There's also, for the normal Juvie Craw, its own tube head for that as well. Natural matte finish and durable tear-resistant material, and it comes in an 8-pack. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about what I'm seeing in this description. So first off, if you guys have never seen these, go ahead and look up the Juvie Craw, and then you can look up the Micro Juvie Craw. There's not a huge difference in size. It's 20% smaller, went from 2.5 inches to 2 inches, which makes me curious what the need for that was. You know, the 2.5 inch, I mean, if you guys have never seen the Juvie Craw, you ought to go out and pick them up. I do like them. They're fun. They're good for smallmouth. I haven't had a ton of luck on them personally. For some reason, I have a habit of whenever I hook a fish on them, I somehow break off. And so it's just been bad luck with those. So hopefully I have a shot to really use these coming up this fall. But they are really a fun lure to have. They're very realistic. They do get bit quite well. Every time I've gone out with them, they've gotten bit very quick. I just happen to keep breaking off, which is kind of annoying. So it talks about, so the profile of it imitates a vulnerable juvenile with floating claws and tentacles that lift on the paws. This is very accurate. It's a very small crawfish profile, especially at the 2-inch size. I have the normal Juvie Craw. I assume these work just the same, just in a smaller size. It floats very nicely, like the appendages float nicely. The tube head is perfectly designed for it. It's exactly what you need. I wouldn't use a different tube head. I'd buck up the money and buy the GLF brand tube heads. It goes right between the tentacles. It looks really nice. Looks very normal. I do like the matte finish on these. It is very nice. It doesn't like pop. You know, it's more subtle. It seems more natural to me. So it's really good. Tear resistant, yes, I've noticed that as well. It's been extremely durable. I've drug it through rocks and through grass, and it has done very well for me. Which is funny because when you rate, you have to cut a hole through actually where like the eyelet's going to stick out of the jig head, and so it's actually kind of tough to cut through because it is such a good hard, good solid plastic, but it is very squishy still. So you're not going to have any issue with it, with the fish biting down it, not pushing down. So you're not going to need to boil these or anything. Comes in a pack of 8. It's $6.99. So it's $7, so almost $1 a plastic, which I still think is a bit pricey. Comes in 19 colors, and we're just going to talk about a couple of the really cool ones. Obviously, they have the normal colors. They have black and blue, all black, green pumpkin. They have all sorts of just the normal colors. A couple fun ones they have is they have fire craw, which is a red and orange one, which I would think would be excellent in the springtime. Especially as, craws around here are molting. I think that fire craw with that really nice bright red and orange is going to be excellent. Then they have frosted shad. It's white and almost translucent from the pictures. I'd be intrigued to see this in person and actually see what it looks like. But it looks really cool. Looks like probably like a very juvenile craw as well. And then motor oil is really cool. It's like this kind of yellow translucent, almost chartreusey color with like some brown and tan in it. It's a really cool color. You guys should go check out these colors. You can find them on GLF's website. Remember, it's Great Lakes Finesse Micro Juvie Craw. So the big question here for me is there a need for this? So the normal Juvie Craw is 2.5 inches, which is a already finessey bait. I think the Micro Juvie Craw is a cool concept, but I don't know how much it's going to play for those of us that are not in strictly northern smallmouth, pressured areas. For me down here in Indiana, even, I mean, I'm south enough that, I can throw rage tails, and I can throw, net bait pack of chunks, and all of the different craws that everyone else throws, and I don't need to go super duper small. It's fun to throw these, just it's a cool brand. I like their stuff, but it's not a necessity for me. So I don't know how much this micro version that's only a 1/2 inch shorter is really going to make a difference. I'd love to see them up next to each other and see how much smaller it truly looks, and if there really is that need. So like I said, $6.99 for an 8-pack. That is the first product of 8 in the Great Lakes Finesse Micro Juvie Craw. Alrighty, you guys. Number 2 on here today is going to be the Lew's brand Excel and Excel RX casting reels. So mostly we're going to talk about the Excel, but we will talk a bit about the Excel RX as well. So here's what it has to say. Here's the product description. Built with a premium Paramag RX braking system, the Lew's Excel RX casting reels offer advanced braking technology at an affordable price. Balanced and powerful, the Paramag RX braking system applies even more force across the brake surface to create a perfect spool balance for silent and friction-free performance to prevent backlash. Equipped with a 32mm ported aluminum spool with integrated knot slot feature for seamless line attachment, the Excel RX casting reels boast a 4+1 double-shielded stainless bearing system and precision-cut, high-strength, solid brass gears for a buttery smooth feel. Safely protecting internal components with a durable graphite frame and side plates, the Lew's Excel RX casting reels boast sleek, anodized black and gold accents to look great and perform at the highest level. Features from the website include premium Paramag RX braking system, the 32mm ported aluminum spool with knot slot in it, a 6 double-shielded stainless bearing system, it's a 5+1, graphite frame and side plates, and precision-cut, high-strength, solid brass gears. It comes in at $99, comes in right and left-handed. Right hand is a 6.8 to 1 and a 7.5 to 1. And the left hand is only in a 7.5 to 1. And they both have, right and left-hander both have 120 yards of line capacity at a 12-pound monofilament. So that is the reel. So first off, let's talk a bit about this reel. So this comes from Lew's at a $99 price point, which is kind of where everyone's trying to stay these days as a nice introductory reel. It is a kind of light gray color. It has some kind of bronzy finishes to it. Black handle, normal eyelet, and like I said, there's little bronzy finishes on it. It does come in a combo. If you're wanting a combo that will be coming out, it'll be $149. And that will come, it'll have cork handles on it, which I actually do kind of like. A split cork handle on the back end for the bait casting combo. So, couple things that I'm thinking here. So there's two models. There's the Excel at $80 and the Excel RX at $99.99. So I've looked through, I can't quite tell too much of a difference here between the two. I'm sure I think it's just mostly the braking system is the difference. But I am disappointed at the $100 price point that we're not seeing any more aluminum. I feel like if they would bump it up to even like a 110 or 119, they could make it an aluminum frame and sell a ton more reels. I know a lot of people are really getting away from the graphite just because they're not nearly as durable, especially with trying to, if you're horsing a bigger fish, if you're, and it just feels better in the hand to use an aluminum frame. So I am honestly disappointed that they didn't get it to aluminum, especially at the price point. And like I said, they could have bumped it up just a little bit and gotten the price point, at 110, 120 and been just fine. The other thing that's quite disappointing is the gear ratios. So a 7.5 to 1 is a good normal gear ratio. But to, for some reason, go down to a 6.8 instead of jump up to like an 8.2 or an 8.3 to 1 to have more of a higher speed reel is kind of an odd choice by Luz, in my opinion. I don't really see, I guess maybe they're trying to make this play as like a cranking rod compared to a topwater rod. Or a topwater reel. Sorry, these are obviously reels, not rods. They want to be more of like a cranking reel compared to a topwater reel, or something that's super heavy duty for like flipping and pitching cover. Big heavy swim base. I think they're looking for more of just like normal use as like an introductory to bait casters. But again, at this price point, I would hope to see a little bit better variety. I'm very shocked that there's 2 gear ratios for right-handed and only 1 for left-handed. At least they picked the 7.5 to 1 for left-handed, not the 6.8. The 6.8 would have been way too slow. 7.5 is pretty good. I like a 7.2 or a 7.3. I think a 7.5 is starting to get quick, but overall it's not a huge deal. So, yeah, I mean, does the reel look good? Yes, it's a good-looking reel. Is it going to be any different than any other Luz reel that we've seen in the last couple of years? I don't think so. I'd be intrigued to see how good this braking system really is, if it really does prevent the backlash like it talks about, or if it's just, more marketing mumbo jumbo and they put some fancy letters after it, after the name, Paramag RX, and it just does the same thing and you just obviously have to learn to thumb it. So overall, my thoughts on this, it's going to be cool. I think it's a good introductory price point for some people. It's a nice color. Like I said, the gray with the gold accents kind of goes with most things. You can pair with almost any rod out there just because it's going to look good. But at $99 for the RX, which I think most people jump to the RX instead of the normal Excel, just because $20 you'd rather get a little bit better. I think it's a little disappointing, but I am still excited for it. So that is my thoughts on the Luz Excel and Excel RX casting reels from Luz brand. Number 3 today is going to be from Strike King, and surprise, surprise, it's going to be the Tumbleweed Dice Bait. So here is the marketing description from Strike King. The Strike King Tumbleweed Dice Bait combines a 12-sided soft plastic body with a skirt made from air-trapped silicone strands that produce dynamic movement and subtle vibration to trigger strikes. Its unconventional shape creates unpredictable action in the water, and anglers can fish it weightless for a slow fall presentation or on a drop shot rig to keep it suspended in the strike zone. Available in both floating and sinking formulas, the Tumbleweed adapts to different tactics across varying depths and conditions. From pressured lakes to shallow cover, this bait offers versatility with enough flash and movement to draw in largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. It's a 12-sided dice body that produces unpredictable action, air-trapped silicone skirts that enhance lifelike movement, offered in both sinking and floating formulas, effective rigging techniques, and quantity of a 4-pack for $10.99. So what is this? Long story short, it's a dice bait. This is obviously a huge portion of what we are seeing this year from everything going on is going to be a dice bait. Dice bait is everywhere across iCAST. This was one. Strike King's obviously a well-known brand. They do a lot of stuff with KVD. I'd be curious to see if this becomes a KVD bait or not. That'd be kind of cool if he's going to put his name onto it. It comes in 11 colors. None of them really stood out there. Just normally they had chartreuses and they had green pumpkins and black and blues. And it is cool that they have a sinking and a floating variation. Obviously sinking for weightless and floating for your drop shot to keep it suspended in the air. But I have a couple questions about this. I'm very intrigued. One, the price point seems high at almost $3 per soft plastic. You got 4 baits for $11, and they're soft plastics that aren't very big. So obviously, the money's somewhere. And I'm sure the money is in making this skirt that runs through and stays inside of the baits. But I'm curious how well those little fuzzy strands will stay on this dice bait. Are they going to pop off after the first fish? Are they going to tear really easily like any other skirt? There's obviously all sorts of questions out there, because if these are going to tear, if this skirt material is going to tear off really quick, then you're just left with a little cube of plastic from Strike King, and congratulations, you overpaid. So I think it's a cool idea. Obviously, this is the technique that is taking iCAST in the fishing world, specifically bass fishing, by storm. And so obviously I would want to talk about it. This was one that looked cool to me. I think it's going to be cool. I think I like the colors. They're not going too crazy with them. I think they're going to work. I think these will actually probably be really good in spring when fish are bedding. I think they're going to piss off fish quite a bit, and that's kind of the whole point of bed fishing, is to piss off the fish and get it to bite. I think this will actually work really well during spring. I don't know how well this will work during fall when you're trying to get more of a reaction strike. I think this will be a really good spring bait. Sorry, guys. but yeah, I think that's when we're going to get to check it out a lot, and I'm probably going to end up doing that next year sometime. I am going to buy some at some point and try them out just for the fun of it, but we shall see how it goes. So that is my thoughts and opinions on the Strike King Tumbleweed Dice Bait. So next on the docket is going to be a really cool one, actually. I thought this one was really neat, and I love the idea. It is the Sixth Sense Treble Harness Head. It's a screw lock jig head with a top rigged treble hook only. And here's the marketing nomenclature from Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense treble harness head gives anglers a stronger hookup and better chance of keeping fish pinned with its swivel-mounted treble harness that reduces leverage during the fight. The screw lock keeper locks your swim bait in place without tearing, while the optional bottom rigging loop adds versatility for customizing with blades or stinger hooks. It's a smart option for anglers who've lost fish mid-fight and want a better rigging system for plastics and paddle tails on open water or around structure. Specs on it's a swivel-mounted treble hook that minimizes fish throwing leverage, a screw lock keeper that holds soft plastics in place, optional bottom loop for stinger hook or blade add-ons if you want to do like an underspin blade or stinger hook. It's equipped with number 4 sized hooks, and it's 2 per pack at $9.99 from Sixth Sense. So first off, these look awesome. I have some of the normal jig heads that they've done, like the shaky heads for them. These look very similar to the shaky heads that Sixth Sense has done in the past, and I think it looks really cool. So these are really cool bait, like I said. I'm super excited to get to use these. I have loved the normal shaky heads, and I think this is going to be something that is really good for smallmouth. I think you can throw a really nice paddle tail on the back, and this will be really good, almost like a coal shad or like a mag draft or a final copy from Strike King. Any of those can be a nice sized swim bait. I think it'd be interesting to see what the snagging rate is like, because there's really no way to like hold that treble hook in place. Kind of just swims along the top, it looks like. So I'm curious how well, if it will like hook up around your line at all when you pull or when you cast out. I'm thinking if I fish this, I'm going to probably take one of the 3 obviously hook points on the treble hook and probably just bury it into the back of my soft plastic, almost like you would on a coal shatter mag draft. And then the bottom loop, I'm not quite sure what I would do. A cool idea would be almost donkey rigging it, maybe, if you can find a way to donkey rig it. I think that could actually end up being really cool and almost create like your own sort of umbrella rig in a way. You could just throw line, have them go, behind each other and trail. Not sure the legality of that. I'll be intrigued into the legality of doing that as well. But, I don't know how much I'd want an underspin there. You could throw on like a little willow blade on the underside. I think it'd look really cool. But overall, I don't know how much this is going going to need. The screw lock's a really nice concept, a really nice idea on there to keep your plastics in place on something like this. Obviously, we don't want to just be losing our plastics. We're going to have to use, obviously, if you look at it, so go look it up. You're gonna have to cut off just the head of your plastic so it fits all nice and flush. I'm sure you're not gonna want to just throw it on the way it is. So you have to do a little bit of trimming to your plastic, but that's not a huge deal. And at $9.99 per pack, it's really not a horrible deal. It's a little overpriced. I think $5 a jig head's a little pricey, but at the same time, I feel like there could be worse that you could be doing, pricing wise. So it's okay. I'm not going to complain too much about pricing, especially if these are durable. I've been intrigued to see what the paint is like durability-wise. But overall, if it's a nice durable paint and everything holds together well, it's a good sharp hook, I don't think $9.99 for a 2-pack is too overpriced. So that is our talk about the 6th Sense treble harness head. Real quick, couple trailers that I'm thinking about putting on this. I am definitely going to try this out at some point. Rapala Mayors are going to be good at the original size. Zoom Flukes, I think, will look good on the back. Big Joshies, swim baits on the back. All sort, any really nice boot tail, I think, will be good. Plus a couple, I think some Flukes might do the trick, but we'll have to see on that. So that, again, is going to be the 6th Sense treble harness head. That's a jig head from 6th Sense. So moving on to our 5th, we're over halfway done. We're going to go to Beast Coast Lures and their hand-tied tungsten compound baby dozer football jig. So here is the wording from Beast Coast. The Beast Coast hand-tied tungsten compound baby dozer football jig, say that 5 times fast, gives bass anglers a compact bottom contact jig that excels on 12 to 15 pound line for dragging through rock and sparse cover. The 4/0 BKK mid-wire black nickel hook provides strong hook sets without overpowering lighter setups, while the hand-tied shortcut skirt and compact weed guard offer a clean, snag-resistant profile. A unique hook-eye placement set just behind the midpoint of the head works with the head's friction pad, which we'll talk about in a minute, to make your trailer naturally deflect and tick bottom as you drag. The jig also features a ribbed and barbed keeper to lock soft plastics in place and a side stamp for quick identification on the water. And the talking here, the nomenclature from them is ideal for 12 to 15 pound line. 4/0 BKK wire hook with a shortcut skirt and weed guard, meant for deflection and rubbing on the bottom. And it's a 1-pack, comes in 12 colors, and the pricing varies based on size. For a 5/16 ounce, it is $5.49. For a 7/16, it is $6.49, and a 5 ounce is $7.49. Not every color comes in all 3 sizes, so you'll have to be careful of that. Whoops, dropped my phone. But yeah, that is going to be our pricing information and our sizing. So 5/16, 7/16, and a 5/8 ounce. So pretty normal sizes, nothing too bad. So some cool things that I noticed off this one, the weight being stamped on the side is really cool. If you're buying multiple tongues, if you have all your jigs in a tackle box, sometimes it's hard to remember which one's the 5/16, which one's the 7/16. And obviously, this is a football jig that's going to be dragging along the bottom real hard, and as they call it, bulldozing. It's a baby dozer football jig. So this is, it's going to be hitting rocks and dirt and weeds, and you don't want, if you have something just painted on it, you want it to come off. So that's stamped in. It's actually really nice, so it shouldn't wear off. It has a nice rough patch on the front of it. It kind of looks like the rumble strips on the sidewalks. If you know what I'm talking about, when you get to the corner of a sidewalk or like where someone steps down, there's like those little dots for for blind people to use their canes, their seeing canes to find where they're at. That is what it looks like on the bottom. And it creates a ton of friction, going to kick up some dirt, and really just create a nice action on the bottom. Also, these skirts are ridiculously good looking. Looks like there's a ton of skirt material and there's some nice colorings in there. It should pair very nicely with some very thick, stubby craws, and maybe even just like some Ned rig baits on the back, even just to give it some sort of size and profile. But this overall looks extremely high quality in my opinion. I think it's going to be an excellent lure. And I am actually really excited for this. I'm not a huge football jig guy. I'm not a huge jig fisherman. Just because I've never gotten into it, but I am excited to try this one out as well. Probably in the 5/16 ounce. I don't really think I want to be throwing above a half ounce jig just because I don't really need it. So that is going to be my talk on the Beast Coast hand-tied tungsten compound baby dozer football jig. Again, try saying that one 3 times really fast. All right, you guys, moving on to number 6 today is going to be from Daiwa, and it's going to be the Air D 80 sized casting reel. So here is the marketing nomenclature from Daiwa. Designed to pack a punch with a compact and lightweight frame, the Daiwa Air D80 casting reel allows anglers of all skill levels to experience top-notch fishing performance without breaking the bank. Highlighted by Daiwa's legendary MagForce LC concept and braking system, the Air D80 casting reel delivers smooth, long-distance casts with reduced backlashes to make it easier to cast without the hefty price tag. Complete with a 90mm swept handle and rubberized grips to secure your grip even in wet conditions. Jeez, I can't talk. I'm sorry, guys. These versatile bait casting reels provide increased leverage and control when fighting big fish. Perfect for a wide range of all-purpose bass fishing applications, the Daiwa Air D80 casting reel brings advanced technologies, long-distance casting, and a durable construction so you can reel in the big ones without sacrificing quality. Features are the MagForce LC concept braking system, lightweight composite frame and side plates, a 90mm swept handle, and rubberized grips. So big things I like here. One is going to be, let's talk about gear ratios and price. Comes in 7.5 to 1 ratios for left hand and right hand, and has somewhere between 100 and 110 yards of capacity for 14 and 12 pound monofilament respectively, and is $99.99. So again, we're seeing another reel at that $100 price point. I didn't want to go to like the $400 reels. We have an expensive piece of gear coming up next, which I thought would be fun to talk about. But for reels, I wanted to keep it in what a normal budget would be. So let's talk about this. So this comes from obviously their Air D line of rods that they have. They have the Air DX braid rod, and I actually have one of those, and I actually really like it. It's a really nice rod, so this reel is meant to match it. It's silver and gold with black accents on it, which matches the rod that I've got. But only coming in 1 gear ratio is an odd choice, very similar to the Lose one. But the one they picked is 7.5 to 1. Again, is a pretty good one. It's good for everything at $100 price point. So you can kind of use it again. Jerk baits, swim baits, Texas rigs. You can kind of use it for everything except for like frogging, because you just need a fast reel for frogging, and then obviously some really deep like punching and stuff. You want a fast reel, but 7.5 to 1 kind of gets everything done. Again, not liking the fully composite portion here. I wish an aluminum frame would be nice, even if it's composite side plates. Just having the actual aluminum frame would be nice, just for durability purposes at the $99 price point. Daiwa's got the T-wing system that you guys can see in a lot of their other reels. I've got it on my Tatula CT, and I actually really like it. I do notice it is a tad bit smoother when casting, so it is nice to have. And I would have liked to have seen them incorporate that into this reel. Just at the price when they've got the technology, I feel like there's no need to leave it out. I don't know why you would leave that out. Because obviously when people buy this and throwing in a premium feature like that, even at the $99 price point, would have been nice. They could have probably bumped it to $119, because I feel like keeping a reel under $100 anymore is going to be tough with prices. So you bump it to $119 like we were talking about, put on aluminum and then the T-wing system, and all of a sudden you've got a really, really good reel at $120. I think it's going to sell a ton. Right-handed and left-handed, obviously it's 7.5 to 1. Hopefully they come out with some more gear ratios, but I think they're not going to go up, just like we talked about with the Lose Excel RX, just because it's a graphite, or in this case a composite material and not full aluminum. It's not going to have that durability to really horse a fish. That I wouldn't trust it as much as the aluminum reels, so I don't think we need this to be popping up into an 8.5 or even a 9 to 1. You're starting to see 9 to 1 reels. I don't like 90mm sized handles. I like bigger than 100 or 110, but I am a bigger guy. This might be good for smaller people. I'm 6'4", 260, so when I've got large hands, and so when I'm grabbing a reel, I want it to feel big and comfortable. But I do like those rubberized grips. A lot of people come with these plastic grips and they just feel like crap, and you don't feel like you can grab onto them. Hopefully the grips are a nice, good size. They look pretty halfway decent in the picture. But I have had issues with my Tatula CT. I actually changed the grips because it was just too small for me, and it just didn't feel right. I put on a new reel, and it felt good, or a new handle on there, and it felt good on that reel. So hopefully, there might be one you might have to do here. So think about that when you go to purchase it, comparing it to, if you have to put on a $20 handle onto this $99 reel, you might as well go to, in my opinion, SLX XT from Shimano. But this is a cool product from Daiwa, keeping it under that $100 mark. That's a little difficult to do sometimes. In Daiwa's lineup, they get pricey real quick. So overall, I think this is a really cool reel. It looks really nice. But like I said, would have liked to have seen the T-Wing system put into it, just for the sole fact of it. It's a nice feature. It's been around a while. I feel like they could implement it a little bit easier, and really not have to affect the price point at all. Alrighty, guys, moving on to number 7, and this is going to be our most expensive piece on here, by a long shot. But I wanted to bring something fun and expensive up, just because it's always fun to talk about the really pricey stuff. Just, it's out of my reach, but it's still cool to talk about. So this is going to be none other than the Shimano Poison Ultima casting rod. Let's talk about what is said by Shimano. Built to be the pinnacle of performance, the Shimano Poison Ultima casting rod brings Shimano's JDM offering to the North American market and generously showcases Shimano's most advanced rod technologies. Blending Spiral X Core and High Power X technologies, the Poison Ultima casting rods offer incredibly light blanks with increased multi-directional strength and added blank twist resistance. Shimano's X-Guide system also unlocks the full potential of the blanks by dramatically decreasing weight and providing heightened casting performance. Pushing the limits of sensitivity, the Poison Ultimate casting rods feature Shimano's full carbon monocoque grip. I don't know how to pronounce that. MONOCOQUE. Have fun. Grip that transmits the slightest vibrations through the grip to your hand. The shapes were also developed by scientists, specifically analyzing tournament anglers' movement and holding posture to elevate performance even further. Pushing the limits of rod building technologies, the Shimano Poison Ultimate casting rods deliver JDM quality that is simply unmatched. Features are the carbon monocoque grip, Dynabalance, X Solid High Power X, Taftec, Spiral X Core UBD, and a limited 1-year warranty. Most of that stuff, I have no idea what it meant. I tried to look it up, couldn't find squat on it. So if you guys know what any of that means, the Dynabalance, the Spiral X Core, the Taftec, the High Power X, the X Solid High Power, and UBD, if you guys know what any of that means, please comment it down below wherever you're listening, because I would love to know what that actually means. It comes in at a whopping $879.99, so $880, and comes in at 4 sizes. It comes in a 6'10" and a medium fast, a 7-foot medium heavy fast, a 7'2" medium fast, and a heavy fast, and then a 7'4" medium heavy fast. So you have 5 total options along 4 sizes from 6'10" to 7'4". So you have some variety here if you want to crank with it, if you want to have swim baits, if you want to have an all around. It'll cover most things that you need. I wouldn't maybe want to use this for there's no sort of medium moderate for it. So it's not gonna be like a glass rod by any means. But overall, it kind of covers everything size-wise. So going through their marketing, it talks about the pinnacle of performance, and at $880 for a fishing rod, it better darn be good. It has all sorts of technologies in it. Looks like it's going to make it very strong. Not going to let it twist at all. It's going to have very good casting distance, very lightweight, but also very sensitive. They really sounds like they tried to optimize it to feel everything. I mean, it says Shimano's full carbon monocoque grip that transmits the slightest vibrations through the grip to your hand. So obviously this should be really good. I would think for almost jigging if it's going to be extremely sensitive. Talks about the shape of the grip was developed by scientists analyzing tournament anglers' movement and holding posture. So it's very interesting that they actually, I don't know how they did that. That'd be very, very interesting to hear about. But they say it's JDM quality that's simply unmatched. And again, at $880, it better be pretty darn good. First off, so my thoughts. First off, the rod is beautiful. It's beautiful matte black with some gloss finishes throughout it and a little bit of gold accents. Super understated, super classy. Looks really, really nice. It looks like it should be expensive, and it is. The one thing that really rubs me wrong on here is the limited 1-year warranty. Dobbins has a 3-year warranty on their rods, and even down at the Maverick series, which I have at $99.99, they have a 3-year warranty. If I'm spending $900, including tax, a little more than $900 on a fishing rod, a 1-year warranty seems low. I feel like if you're willing to sell something for $879.99 plus tax and shipping, you should be confident enough in that product with all this technology that they just listed off, right? The carbon monocoque grip and the Dynabounce, the X Solid High Power and the High Power X and Taftech and Spiral X Core and UBD. All that, if you're so confident that you're going to talk about it, you should back that up with a better warranty than 1 year, in my opinion. I don't think you need a 10-year warranty, but I think a 3-year warranty is a very fair warranty on a rod. I'm really disappointed in the fact that it's just a 1-year warranty. Looks really good. I think you should go for it if you've got the money. Obviously, if I had $900 sitting around with nothing better to do with it and I was just going to light it on fire, I would buy one of these, but I don't. That is, pushing towards a week's worth of pay for me. And so, it's not going to happen over here. I'm sure it's an amazing rod, but I'm curious where, I've always heard that, a $50 rod's better than a $30 rod, and a $100 rod's better than a $50 rod, and then you get to $250, and then you get to about $500, right, or $400 or $500, somewhere in there. And obviously, as you make those steps up, they get better and better. What could possibly be the difference between a $400 rod and an $880 rod? I have no idea. I think this is going to be extremely overpriced. I don't know if it's going to sell well. I think they're really going to hurt in not getting sales because the price point is so high. It is, like I said, a great looking rod. This is one of those that if I would bought it, I would almost be scared to use it. I would almost just hang it up on a shelf, set up on a shelf or hang it up on my wall and have it be a talking piece because it is beautiful. I mean, it's a work of art of a fishing rod, but at the same time, that 1-year warranty speaks bad to me. So $880. That is going to be the Shimano Poison Ultima casting rod. So, all right, you guys, that is number 7. We're going to move on to our 8th and final topic tonight, and that's going to be the Rapala Claptail 110. So this is a new hard baits, a hard topwater bait from Rapala, and we are going to talk about it here. So it's designed, here's the wording from Rapala. Designed by one of the most meticulous anglers in the country, or in the industry, Jacob Wheeler, the Rapala Claptail 110 is built with a metal prop and trailing backblade that collide on the retrieve to produce a unique two-tone fish-attracting sound. Featuring a durable plastic body weighted to ensure long casts and consistent retrieves, the Claptail 110 creates a wealth of topwater commotion to make big fish rise to the surface for explosive topwater bites. Armed with 2 razor-sharp VMC black nickel 1X strong hybrid treble hooks, each lure includes a swiveling front hook hanger to keep fish pinned and prevent them from gaining leverage during the fight. Ideal for bass and freshwater multi-species applications, the Rapala Claptail 110 delivers enticing splash and retrieve topwater action and metallic acoustics in a variety of fish-catching color patterns. It comes in at 4 3/8 inches, 7/8 ounce, and 8 colors. Which are blackback shad, broken bone, green gizzard shad, night aurora. Those are my 4 favorites. And then it is going to be $18.99 per bait. So what is this bait exactly is what we need to kind of talk about. So this is a whopper plopper with a little metal ball on the back that goes over top of where the actual prop on the back rotates. And it clicks into that almost like a Booyah buzzbait and creates a little extra commotion. So it's pretty much a hybrid between a whopper plopper and a buzzbait. But I'm curious how useful this is. So because none of that commotion, that collision is going to be going on in the water, it's going to be going on above the water, I'm curious how much it's actually going to cause an effect. And if it's just going to actually hurt the action versus create more of a sound to attract fish. I'm very, very curious if this will cause a lot of rollover issues, if this is going to be something more that snags in the grass, if this is just something else to break, especially at $18.99. So I am very intrigued to see how this works. I do like they have the VMC hooks. Funny enough, recent story, I have been using a Dead Man Walking from Mock Baits. It is a topwater walking spook, and it's got the BKK hooks in it. And I am very disappointed in BKK hooks right now. They have one of them has completely bent out, and I have to completely replace it. And I've caught like 3 fish on it. So the fact that it bent out that quick was sad. I've always loved VMC hooks. VMC hooks are great hooks. So I like that they included those on this. Obviously, at the $19 price point, you have to be good at putting good hooks on here. You can't be putting on cheap generic hooks at $19. You have to be putting on expensive, nice hooks. I think this is a really cool design. I like the 4 3/8 inches at 7/8 of an ounce. It'd be cool if they go down to one of my favorite size of top of a plopper is the Whopper Plopper 90 style. The 90 size, I think it's a really good look. I like how fat it is. I think it keeps it from rolling really well compared to some of like the longer, skinnier ones like the 110 or the 135. So, and I don't quite know what 4 3/8 inches translates to in millimeters, but I think it's probably like a 130 size. So I think it's going to be decent. I think it's a good size. I'd like to see them offer more sizes. I'd be intrigued to see if they can offer more sizes and how much work that would take. Really cool colors. The Night Aurora is really cool. It's black, but it has some cool undertone, like transformative colors underneath it. Like I said, black back shads. The shad color with a nice black back on it. When it's spinning, it gets that little bit of when the actual prop bait is spinning, it gets that nice flash of black underneath. Broken Bone is a bone with like some red color in it, and then a green gizzard shad's a very normal color. So this is a really cool bait. It's a Rapala Claptail. 110. There you go. It's a 110 size. Sorry, so I was close with that 120. So it's a 110 sized Whopper Plopper buzz bait hybrid. So, all right, you guys, that is going to be this week's episode for you all. Thank you for sticking around. This has been a much longer episode than normal, which I don't mind. It's actually been fun. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. We talked about our top 8 baits. We'll go back through them real quick just to recap. So the top 8 products from iCAST. First one was the Great Lakes Finesse Micro Juvie Craw. Number 2 is the Lose XLRX casting reel. We also talked about the XL a little bit, but mostly the XLRX. Third was the Strike King Tumbleweed Dice Bait. Fourth was the 6th Sense Treble Harness Head. Fifth was the Beast Coast Hand-Tied Tungsten Compound Baby Dozer Football Jig. Again, to that 5 times fast. 6 was the Daiwa Air D80 Casting Reel. 7 was the Shimano Poison Ultima Casting Rod. And 8th and final, we just talked about it, the Rapala Claptail 110 Topwater Bait. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please be sure to drop a positive review for us on whatever podcast platform you're tuning in with. Be sure to like the episode if you can, and also follow the show. We are currently available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon Podcasts. So if you are able to, please, like I said, drop a follow. You can also check out my Instagram and my YouTube, which are Tyler Plackey Fishing. If you're listening to this on YouTube podcast, it's linked to my account anyways. Check out my YouTube channel there. You can see what I've been up to. You can DM me suggestions for the show, questions for the tackle box, or we can just talk about fishing. I love talking fishing, so we can obviously make sure to do that. So thank you guys so much for listening. I really enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys have too. We have some really cool stuff coming up in the near future. So yeah, thank you all for your support, dedicating your time to the show. And until next time, guys, tight lines, y'all.